Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing another story time, and if you have not seen my story time videos already, I believe I have 2 or 3 up already, so I mean, you don't have to watch these in order or anything because they're not, they don't really have much to do with each other. But if you'd like to watch those, I will link the playlist in the cards, and also I will link it in the end screen so you can see that. But today's story time is going to be about my elementary school bus driver. It's a pretty wild ride. Um, and I'll start out by saying that I believe I first met her when I was in first grade, and she was my bus driver. And since day one, in case you don't realize, I have cerebral palsy, so I use mobility devices. At the time, I used a wheelchair and a walker. Now I use a crutch and a wheelchair. But so back when I was in elementary school, I had a wheelchair and a walker. The wheelchair was to get around in like the halls and stuff, and the walker was to like get around in the classroom or like go to the bathroom if I needed to. And so from day one, this bus driver, who I am going to call Linda, because I'm not trying to get sued, so I won't say her real name. But so Melinda, since day one, said she would not put my walker on the bus because she didn't have permission, so she wouldn't bring it because it was a safety hazard, even though this was the disability accessible bus. So how else was I gonna get my walker to school? So she refused to do that, and she gave my mom such a hard time about it, and she was just an ableist fool about the whole thing. So my mom had ended up going to the school board and like having to like fight it. So eventually my walker was allowed on the bus, but she's like, I didn't get permission to put this walker on the bus. What do you think a disability accessible bus is for, Linda? So that happened, and she was obnoxious about it. And then also she would fight with my neighbors. Like my neighbors would be driving to work in the morning, and they would drop their kids off at the bus stop, and apparently she didn't like that. She was like, how could you leave your child at the bus stop? Meanwhile, these people had to go to work because they had jobs and things to do. So they were driving to work in the morning, and she would get mad at that. But she would also get mad because she would like park right in front of my house, which is like in the middle of the block, and she would have her like stop sign up, the stop signs on buses, and she would sit there and wait as long as she could just so that my neighbor couldn't get past. And then if he passed her, she would have a fight with him, telling him he broke the law, which yeah, technically he did. But she did that on purpose and would wait there like writing notes in her notebook, and she would sit there waiting so that he would get to work late or whatever, because apparently she's also a sadist and she likes to see people suffer. But so that would happen, and she had so many fights with them, and she threatened to have them arrested, like call the police, and it made me cry, and my neighbor's daughter, who was also she would be crying too, because it was this whole drama, and we were little kids, and we didn't have to see that, but apparently Melinda thought this was appropriate behavior to be presenting in front of little kids. So that whole story probably went on for about a year, because she was my bus driver for many years, unfortunately. But so then another time she was a seller for this multi-level marketing company, and MLM, which is basically a legal pyramid scheme, but that's none of my business. But so she was this seller for this company, and she would try to sell my mom vitamins, and that's not appropriate. Like, if you work with someone and you have to see them every day, it's really not appropriate to try to sell them things, because that puts them in a very uncomfortable position. So like, you shouldn't do that. But and like, she would push her vitamins on us constantly, and it's like, we don't want your overpriced vitamins that probably don't work anyway. But it's like, so she didn't have permission to sell us the vitamins, but she could do that, and yet she couldn't put my walker on the bus, which is part of your job. Okay, I don't know what to say about that. So she would constantly try to sell us her stupid vitamins, and she was just a very mean person. She would say really mean things to me when I was in like first grade, and that caused a lot of issues. But and then also, like, she, when I was in sixth grade, I had leg surgery, because in fifth grade I started going on the regular bus, because at that point I didn't need like a walker or a wheelchair during school, and so I went on the regular bus, so I had freedom from Melinda's reign of terror. But so I would go on the regular bus, but then in sixth grade I had surgery on my legs, so I needed to have the accessible bus again, because I was in a wheelchair. So guess who shows up at our door a few days before the first day of school to tell us that she's going to be my bus driver? And none other than Melinda. And my mom was like, no, you are not being her bus driver again. So she like called like the school district or something, and she said, we can't have this lady be her bus driver. She is awful. So then she wasn't. Thank God she was not my bus driver. I don't remember if I went on the accessible bus or if my mom drove me to school. I don't really remember. All I know is that she was not my bus driver. But that was like a nightmare when she knocked on the door and was like, I'm her bus driver again. And we were like, no, you cannot be the bus driver. You are obnoxious and mean and just unprofessional and just not a very good person. And then a few years after that, my mom was scrolling on Facebook, and you know how you could see like suggested friends on like the side of the screen, or like the bottom, or wherever it is. I don't know where it is on the screen, but you see like pictures of suggested friends, and you know whose profile was there? Melinda. It was like one of those horror movie moments where it's like like it was scary. We both like freaked out because we didn't have any mutual friends with her, so we're like, how did her face pop up? Like, she must have been searching us or whatever, because I know if someone searches you, you can like, it can show up suggested friends, but that was kind of creepy. I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So that is my bus driver horror story. I know it's not really a horror story. Like, I don't have these crazy stories like some YouTubers do, but honestly, I think some people embellish stories in order to get more views, and I don't want to do that. So if my stories are not as exciting or as eventful as other people, just remember that these are real stories. So I'm not gonna tell a story that didn't happen or try to make it seem more dramatic than it actually was. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoy making storytime videos just because they're fun, and I feel like I get to share more about myself with with my subscribers and just with everybody watching, and also it like brings up a lot of memories that I may not be thinking of all the time. So I do really enjoy these story times, and I hope you do too, because they're very fun to make, and I want to continue making them. And if you who have not already, and you would like to see more of these videos and like social commentary related to disability and disability friendly workouts, then please consider subscribing. I am trying to get to 100 subscribers by my birthday, which is May 22nd, and I believe as of this morning I was at 79 subscribers, which I was like, oh my god, 79 people subscribe to me and they want to watch me talk on the internet. That's pretty wild to me, because this is like a one-woman show. I don't have some fancy setup. I'm not very good at editing or producing. I do not have like a microphone or a great camera. I'm recording this on my phone on like this cheap tripod that I got on the internet. So like, just thank you for subscribing, because that means a lot, and I would love to continue doing this and to grow. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.